We're live.
We're live.
We're live on Instagram. We're live on YouTube and Facebook. How's
Yay.
everybody doing? Hope everybody's doing amazingly well. It's been a doozy of a day.
Doozy of a day.
We're late. We apologize for that.
We actually made a little post that we were going to be late, so.
Yeah, but I do apologize. We had a little running some errands that took a little bit longer than anticipated, but we are here now. That's what counts. Cheers.
Cheers.
Boom. So we're gonna start the conversation. Let me get a drink of water first.
Hey, savages. What's going on?
We're gonna start the conversation off with a little talk on rebounding post-show. So what is rebounding? Rebounding is when you do a really hard cut, like a bodybuilding competition prep or just a super strict long cut in which you have been tapering down macros, calories for quite some time, months on end usually. You are at the leanest you've ever been. It is not a sustainable place to stay that lean. Your hormones are probably down-regulated. Your metabolism is down-regulated. Everything is a little bit down-regulated. And the show prep is over. The competition is over. The cut is over. And you start introducing more food. A lot of times, people will not be able to, as soon as they cross that finish line, they go really hard and heavy into overconsumption. They try to go back up to their original maintenance, which is no longer their current maintenance because everything's been down-regulated, and they gain a ton of unnecessary weight rather quickly. It is totally normal to gain some weight post-prep, but gaining 20 pounds in 48 hours is not a good thing, and both Crystal and I have done that. You want to talk about yours?
Sure. So I did a competition in 2018, and I dieted for, I think it was 22 weeks, and the cut was great. It was fantastic. Everything was going smoothly. I did my competition. Everything was great. The day of my competition, we went out to a Brazilian steakhouse, and I had a bunch of meat, made myself a keto brownie, and got full to the max. I hadn't felt full in months and months and months. So I did that, and then the next day I ate a lot, and then the next day I ate a lot, and I didn't have control over my mental health, of my control over food, and so I just allowed the food to kind of rule me, and I kind of spiraled into a binging eating disorder. There was many times where I was binging and purging. I was hiding things from Robert. It was just like a really, really hard time in my life. And I wish I would have gone about it differently. I went into the prep thinking I was strong enough to come out of the prep and do the proper reverse diet and everything, but I did not. I gained 30 pounds in 3 months. I got to the heaviest I'd ever been in my life. Not only was I at my leanest, but then within 3 months, I got to the heaviest I'd ever been. So I was the leanest I've ever been, the heaviest I've ever been within a 3-month time period. And that killed me. Like mentally, it put me into like a really bad body dysmorphia. I felt just terrible about myself because I had put in all this work over months and months, and then I just undid it like almost immediately. And that's kind of the way I went about it. And I wish I would have been a little bit more strategic in my reverse diet. And Robert helped prep me for my competition. It was fantastic. And then after the competition, I kind of stopped asking him for help. And it's because I began to binge and go crazy with my food. And he would ask me every once in a while, like, how are you doing with food? Are you doing okay? Are you doing that? And I pretty much just like brushed it off. Like, yeah, it's fine. I'm going to do this. Even I tried to like do carnivore and like just eat carnivore, and I still binged on meat and cheese and all different kinds of stuff. So for me, that was my response, and I wish I would have just controlled myself from the day of my competition going forward. I wish I would have had more control over my situation. I could have, but I gave in to myself, and if I ever went into it again, I would know exactly what I needed to do to kind of prevent that from happening for me again. And I always try to really prepare people and just say, like, don't go crazy on your competition day. Don't go crazy the day after your competition. Allow yourself to have a little extra food, similar to like a refeed. Eat very clean, and don't let yourself go crazy. And that whole time, I remained keto as well. Like, I was totally keto. I was just eating a ton of keto food. There was many days where I tracked my macros and it was like 6,000 calories, like several days in a row. And it was insane. Yeah.
Yeah, when you do a cut like that and your leptin and ghrelin, hormones are so out of whack, you literally are insatiable. You can eat, like Crystal said, 6,000 calories without even thinking about it. You're not getting any hunger or satiety signals. I mean, I would eat probably 20,000 calories.
Yeah.
After my show before I was keto. Her first show was keto, so she lacked the perspective of what that was like prior to doing keto. Mm-hmm. For me, I had done several shows and had several rebounds before I ever started the keto diet. So my first show, I got down to 153, and then we went out to Red Lobster the day after the show, that night of the show, and I just ate everything, and I put on literally 20 pounds in 24 hours, and I felt terrible, felt miserable, lost all my definition. Most of it was water weight, obviously. But the thing is, when you're that lean and you're that depleted, your body becomes a sponge. Mm-hmm. It holds on to everything you put in. That is amplified if you are doing crazy like carb or water depletions or sodium depletions and loads. Which a lot of that is not really necessary if you're doing a well-formulated ketogenic competition prep, but it's still going to put your body in a very volatile state when it comes to retaining fluids and retaining that food and caloric intake. So rebounds are tricky, and so much of it hinges on your relationship and mindset with food and knowing when to say, okay, I've had enough. Even if my body's not telling me I've had enough, mm-hmm. I know that this is enough. You can't really rely on intuitive eating post-show. Like, you have to be very measured in your approach. So let's dive into some of these questions.
Yeah.
Hello, guys. Hello.
Fastest shipping ever. They're talking about the keto bricks.
Oh.
Got my bricks today. Such a good day when this happens.
Love it. It was colder this week here in Arkansas, so I'm hopeful that we had a cold front and nobody got a bunch of melted bricks.
Did you rebound with carbs or low-carb keto options? So I stayed keto the whole time, and Robert, since he's been keto, a second, let you speak for yourself. Since he's been keto, he has reverse dieted properly and not gone crazy with his, after show reverse diet and everything. But when he wasn't keto is when he went crazy and had his rebounds.
Yeah. Hello, thanks. Get my malt bricks today. That's awesome, Shannon.
Hello from Cincinnati.
Hello. Daniel Duncan, what's up, brother? TC says, would you recommend a cut if someone does not have a good relationship with food? Just curious.
No.
Caveat, you can do like an intuitive style cut in which you don't go that low. Like if you're just doing like a, short term, hey, I'm going to cut a few calories and, lose a little extra fluff. I think you could do that and still have even if you don't have a wonderful relationship with food, but to really get that lean and then also healthfully reverse out of it, you need to have a pretty good relationship with food.
If you have an eating disorder, it's not worth going into a cut. I gained all that weight, and then I kept trying to convince myself, like, you should just do a little cut. You should just do a little cut. You should, and just telling myself that, it made me worse. It felt worse in my mind, and it took me a long time. It took me like a year to get, or maybe two, to actually get okay with food again, to where I didn't want to binge, to where I didn't want to binge and purge, to where I didn't want to like starve myself after having so much food. It takes a long time to heal your mind and get yourself to be okay with it again. So if you have an eating disorder, I would suggest you work on that first. Otherwise, you're going to try to cut and you're going to try to lead yourself into that, and it's going to kind of backfire on you because your relationship with food is not what it should be.
you're going to have a much more productive cut if you go into it with a healthy relationship with food.
Yeah. Until your body reaches back to the baseline fat percentage where it feels the best, it will send more ghrelin to store more fat.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the thing about, when you get really lean like that, like fat is important. You have to have a certain degree of stored body fat for those hormone signals to be in equilibrium. There is like an underlying, floor that you don't want to go beyond in a sustainable manner. Obviously, you have to go beyond that if you're, up against a competitive bodybuilding group on stage. But again, that's why it's not sustainable.
Got my bricks today. They were melted but reformed in 30 minutes just sitting on my counter. Love them.
That's great. Karen says, good evening, all. Just wanted to say thanks for the discount on the bricks. I got my order today.
Oh,
you guys
yay.
rock. Well, I'm glad they made it to you.
I've ruined my metabolism by steady state cardio in prep. I'm just wondering if that would happen on keto. That's a good question. You want to go ahead?
Yeah.
That is a really good question. I feel like people do this all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of just a ton of steady state cardio. I like to think of cardio as doing like a minimum viable dose approach. Like you don't want to just do endless cardio because what happens when you do like 7 days a week of cardio for hours on end is that becomes your new baseline. In order to elicit a response from that, you have to add even more. And it's like at some point, it's like it's just not feasible. You can't do 8 days of cardio. So I always recommend doing like a minimum viable dose. So if you are not doing very much cardio, enough so that you have good cardiovascular health, but you're not killing yourself, and then you just incrementally add little by little, you're going to get a better response than if you're doing just a ton all the time. And then focus on making your body respond to manipulations from the nutrition more so than just the cardio itself. But yeah, I mean, you can do that that's going to be the case whether you're following a keto diet or whatever, as far as nutritional protocols go.
Yeah.
All right. So Leanne Hittapole says, hello, guys. How are you doing, Leanne?
I like your profile picture. That's cute.
Yeah. Sarah says, hey, superstar. What's up, Sarah? TC says, thank you, and thank you, Crystal, for sharing your struggle. It was helpful.
I'm so glad.
Michael says, what is the general impact on testosterone from a long-term reverse diet relative to a pre-cut levels? What factors have greatest impact? Red meat, heavy lifts, etc. As far as a single most factor that's going to have the biggest impact, it's going to be eating enough food and getting enough sleep. I would put that as the pinnacle as far as factors that would affect your hormone levels the most. I've found that doing a cut with a higher fat approach certainly mitigates how low your testosterone goes and dips down in a cut while in a deficit, but that tends to bounce back once you bring the calories back. Takes a little bit of time, but you can mitigate the depth that it goes by following a higher fat approach in a caloric deficit. And then when you're in a surplus, getting enough red meat, training heavy is going to have a positive effect on your testosterone levels, and getting enough sleep is probably the main factor there.
Yeah, and the same thing goes for females. A lot of time, like I lost my cycle, must have been like halfway through my prep. I lost my cycle and I didn't have it, I think, for like a total of 6 months, even after I started eating again. Your hormones do take a hit, but you can do a lot to help that and help prevent that. And just having a low body fat will do that to a female. It doesn't mean that what you're doing is incorrect or wrong, but it's one of the first things that your body tends to shut down before, as you're going lower in calories and lower in body fat. That's one of the things that your body decides, like, okay, we don't need to do this right now because we don't need to try to produce a child.
What's interesting though, I don't remember where I read this or heard this or saw this, but when you get a hormone test done and you're getting a blood panel done in a very acute moment in time, I mean, there's so many things that can change in an equally acute moment that can drastically change how those numbers, are affected. For instance, if you walk into if you were to go get a testosterone test right now, and then you walk into a sales meeting, for instance, and you absolutely kill it, and you get the client and you just rock and roll with the sales call, and you go and get a test again, your testosterone is going to be markedly higher than if you were to go into that sales client meeting and then they just ripped you a new one and you lost and you like had this massive blow to your ego, and then you went and got a testosterone test and you have much lower numbers. It's crazy how such finite acute things can really and truly affect your numbers. That's why blood tests are super important, but the same is true with lipid tests. If you have a big pork belly meal and you get a lipid panel test 12 hours later, it's going to be different than if you were to have a green salad with a bunch of olive oil and got a lipid test 12 hours later.
Yeah. This one says, hey, new coach. Yay. I like the minimum viable dose of cardio. Haha. Heavy lifting. Or lifting heavy. Sorry. Said that backwards.
Heavy lifting heavy. Thanks. You betcha. Any tips or bedtime routines that have helped you through a period of little to no sleep?
Yes. I just made a huge list of this, actually.
Mouth taping has really helped me a lot. I do mouth taping.
Drinking like a nice bedtime tea is really helpful. I use Ali Miller's Relax and Regulate. That is really helpful. Drink it like 30 minutes to an hour before you go to bed. Helps to relax your body. Essential oils can be really beneficial. Using blue light blocking glasses. My glasses now are blue light blocking. So anytime I'm wearing them, they're blue light blocking. Wearing those at least a couple hours before bed. Staying away from screens before bed. Going to bed and waking up at the same time every night. Like getting your body into that same rhythm and routine. In the morning, getting out in the sun, and in the evening, being outside while the sun is setting is really beneficial.
Working your freaking face off during the day,
and then you'll conk out at night,
has helped us tremendously. Have much less trouble falling asleep at night.
That's very true. I just wanted to say I'm extremely grateful to have found your podcast. I listen all day, every day. Keto gains, baby.
Awesome. Yay. Thanks for listening. We need more questions, y'all. We're 16.57 minutes in, and we have run out of questions. So we need more. I feel like there was another question that we're supposed to start off the live with that was presented to us last week, but I don't remember what it was.
What's the question?
I thought there was two, but I don't remember what they were. I can't relate to that one, Robert. Oh, come on. I'm sure you're putting in work. What else we got over here? We're just all caught up.
Yep.
This is our new break room. It's not. We're gonna do a full blown video walkthrough of the new building at some point, but this is the break room that we're in currently, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
More seasonal keto brick flavors?
Question mark.
It is definitely getting to be close to the seasonal
flavors
festivities. So that said, it's possible that there can be something in the works.
Keep your eyes and ears open, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Daryl Osborne says, congrats on the move.
Thank you. How often do I eat? 3 meals and 2 snacks? Question mark.
Meal frequency is largely going to be dependent upon your total number of calories throughout the day and your activity level. For instance, I like to eat 2 meals a day at a maintenance. If I'm in a really big surplus, I try to normally eat 3 meals a day, because it's just easier to break it into 3 meals. And if I'm in a really steep deficit, like I'm in a prep, then I'll typically go to an OMAD approach because I prefer to have one larger meal as opposed to multiple smaller meals.
Yeah.
But it really just depends the level of deficit you're in and the level of surplus you're in, plus just your day-to-day activities and how your day looks. I mean, a lot of it's going to be personal preference.
Yeah, it's also like when are you hungry? And making sure that your meals are like a substantial amount of food. So normally I don't eat until like 11 or 12, and then I'll have another meal in the evening. But lately I've been getting hungry super early in the morning. So I've been having food earlier in the morning, and then I might also have lunch, and I might also have dinner. So it just depends on like how much you're eating, but also listen to your body. And if you're hungry, then your body's probably telling you that you need a little bit something more. So don't be afraid to eat when your body's signaling to you that you're hungry.
Sarah says, Mina, congrats on the move. Well, thank you so much, Sarah. TC
every hour I'm hungry. If you're hungry every hour, then your meals are probably not big enough or dense enough in nutrients is what I would probably assume. Fat. Yeah, not enough fat, and it's something that's filling, nutrient density, and then like quantity.
just got my bricks delivered. Thanks. Well, thank you for
Yay.
ordering. We appreciate you. Daniel says, I'm off next week. Might be swinging through Arkansas. Well, hit us
Nice.
up,
Yeah.
brother. Fat to Fit Gabby says, does one have to be in ketosis to lose fat? Is 2,500 calories a day a good amount of calories to eat for a sedentary 380-pound obese woman who wants to lose fat? You don't have to be in ketosis to lose fat. I mean, I've lost fat on pretty much every diet out there. I just prefer the ketogenic diet. I feel like it's more efficient, more sustainable, and more enjoyable. And your total caloric intake is going to be totally dependent upon your activity and your body composition. So I wouldn't be able to answer this based off of that.
Yep. Keto Brick is a great supplement meal. Why, thank you.
Kathy says, I hope you bring back butter maple pecan. That's my all-time favorite. Just got my bricks too. Love them. Congrats on your successful move.
Thank you.
We are pretty fond of the butter maple pecan ourselves. Thank you. Suggestions for peppermint flavored Santa-shaped keto mini bricks. So Santa KB bites.
That's cute.
That does sound pretty good. I think it's all about the mold. You got to get a good Santa-shaped mold. I've seen a lot of people have those little piglet molds.
Yeah, those are
for the bricks,
cute.
and I want one of those.
Yeah.
But you can use like a peppermint extract. It'd probably be a pretty good way to get that pepperminty flavor. We also got our bricks today just in time to fuel up before after bike races.
Nice.
I guess everybody's getting their bricks today.
Yeah.
I am pretty proud of our shipping, y'all. We spent all day Monday shipping bricks. We had a ton of orders. By the way, we're incredibly grateful.
Yes.
I mean, like Monday afternoon, Crystal and I were just sitting there on the back porch after having spent all day packaging, watching the sun go down, and we were just like looking at each other in disbelief without even having the words. Like we didn't even know what to say because it's like we have an amazing, amazing community that has, stepped up and supported us and helped us. And, I say it all the time, y'all are my oxygen. Y'all make this possible. And I truly, truly mean it from the depths of my heart.
Yeah,
So
it was fun. Like while we were packaging, I kind of just like stopped and was like, you guys realize that every order that we're packaging is a different individual? Like every single one of these orders is a different person that purchased, that like wants the product that we make with our hands. Like it's just like, it's kind of mind blowing. And it's like, we are in awe of the support that we have and how many people truly love the product that we have to put out in the world. And it just makes us super happy.
Did you ever consider B? What is B?
Ever considered B?
I don't know what B is, Rita. What's B? Use the macro calculator on the Savage website. How do you define the activity factor, specifically killing it in the gym? That is a little bit arbitrary, I agree. I thought I had there should be a little
like
example kind of like paragraph there that kind of illustrates what the different factor or multipliers could be. I put myself at 1.55 because I train very hard and intensely, 5 to 7 days a week, but I have a computer job for the most part. So here lately I've been burning a lot more calories because I've not been sitting at the computer much, but that would be me. Now, if you were like a construction worker on your feet all day and also working at that much, then I would put it more towards that 1.925, I think is what it is.
Jonathan said the scary cherry ketone has a terrible taste, LOL. I'm pretty sure all ketones are pretty nasty.
It does.
The thin mint flavor for brick.
Making bricks in cookie shapes that you can eat as a snap on the go rather than carrying a brick. The only thing about that is
then it would be the keto cookie.
Yeah, and the thing is with those, like I totally get it. There's a demand for smaller bricks. People have said that, and I hear you. Here's the thing: it's more expensive when you factor in the time, labor, the packaging cost, and etc. to produce a smaller brick than it is to produce a larger brick. And for me, the producer, and you, the consumer, I want to give you all the most I can for the least cost on your end. And I would assume that y'all would rather have more quantity and quality at a better price point than less brick for more, if that makes sense, per calorie.
And it's pretty drastic. I mean, the difference between making the brick versus like a smaller size You wouldn't think that it would be that much, but it's a pretty drastic increase of what we would have to charge our customers, which just doesn't feel right.
We spent last night setting up the route for our road trip to Keto, Omaha. I'm super excited to meet y'all.
Yay.
Yeah, I'm excited too.
I
like your
packaged
new
your order the other day.
Yeah, we did. I remember her calling it out. I like your new profile pic too.
Yeah.
Michael says, will addressing the endurance of a muscle group assist breaking through a strength plateau? For example, will moderate runs assist breaking through on a squat strength? There is definitely a tipping point there. So, for instance, a lot of people in a building phase that are trying to build as much muscle as possible don't do any cardio, and therefore their cardiovascular strength and endurance is terrible, and they'll get winded prematurely on like a heavy squat set, for instance. If you're not able to, bang out the entire squat set because your cardiovascular health is suffering, that's going to hinder your ability to build more muscle mass. So I definitely recommend you have enough cardiovascular strength and conditioning to be able to get through any of your sets effectively. That's going to be a little bit different for everybody. For me, I run a mile every single day, and in doing that, I've noticed my cardiovascular health has been significantly improved. But I'm not going to run a marathon every single day because that would probably hinder my ability to build muscle.
Got my bricks delivered to my front porch in Wisconsin.
Nice. TC says, I melt mine down and use molds to make smaller one. It's so easy. Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. I rather eat keto treats. Keto bricks are the only clean treat I eat. I melt them and make 4 mini bricks per large brick. Me too. TC's life so simple. Nice. Yeah, I'm pretty proud of the bricks, y'all. I'm proud of the ingredient cleanliness. It's simple to just melt down the bricks and pour them into small molds. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I figured. I feel like, and everybody's macros are different, so y'all can, rather than me making a super small brick where you have to kind of like then pick and choose things, you can kind of have the customizability. The bricks are modular, Mm-hmm. Yeah, make it sound good like that. I melt my PB cup into smaller Reese's shape.
Yeah.
Warning though, the smaller the piece, the easier it is to just grab them without thinking and just down a whole bunch of them. She melted a whole bunch down, and every single time it's like candy, y'all. But clean and actually healthy.
You didn't like that one?
Oh, did I skip one? I'm all for a nut seed free brick with nothing fermented histamine such as fermented cacao nibs. I'd love to buy that up. We definitely do have several without any cacao nibs in them.
Yes, but she said nut and seed free without cacao nut nibs.
Yes, we do need to work on that. Melt it down and put it in a mold. Do this for my grandsons.
Nice.
Is an in-body scan a good way to measure body fat percentage amount instead of a DEXA? The in-body is good. The DEXA is good. I mean, any of those are going to be much better than nothing. And you got to have like a place to start. So doing that, or even like a skin caliper, that's going to be.
You're missing the second part of the question. I'm obese right now with a lot of body fat. And honestly, the more body fat you have, the more off the in-body DEXA, and most of the time they don't recommend skin fold tests for anyone who is obese or heavily overweight. So I would use a lot of pictures and measurements for right now, and then maybe after a little while, once you kind of hit maybe one of your first goals, then maybe use one of those scales or ways of measurement after just a little bit of time.
I have a love-hate relationship with squats. I think we all do. Recommendations for any life-changing exercises for super tight hip flexors.
I would stretch them, roll them. I wouldn't do specific exercises for tight ones. I would probably try to release them.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of those good mornings, which is a little bit different.
Yeah, those are rough.
Honestly, here we go. Sumo deadlifts. All right. Go super light. They're not going to feel good at all. They're going to feel incredibly awkward. But I used to hate sumo deadlifts. I wasn't strong with them. My conventional deadlifts far outshined my sumos. Now I'm stronger with sumos than conventional. But every time I do sumos now, I just feel all of my hip flexors open up, relax. It's like I love it more so for the stretch I get from it than anything else. But I would highly recommend that one. Mm-hmm. Another vote for the return of maple bricks. The 3 bricks I ordered just arrived today. I picked out the ones you told me were clean enough for me and my MS. Very
Great.
nice. Let us know how you like it.
Yeah.
Sarah says, yes, I'm saying a nut seed-free brick that also has nothing fermented. I would love to be able to enjoy it. That would be amazing. What 3 did you get? Nah, they're no good. Best ship them off to me.
That's funny.
Best ship them off to you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have got quite a bit of work to do still. The day is young, and I am not anymore. I'm getting tired and weary in my old age here, but lots to do still, so we're going to hit the ground running with some errands here. I will see y'all very, very soon.
What are we going to talk about next week?
What are we going to talk about next week? Let's talk about upcoming things that we're super excited about, because there's a bunch of upcoming things that we haven't been able to even talk about because we've been so focused on the move. But I feel like we could definitely talk about some upcoming things apart from the move, obviously, that we're very excited about. That would be relevant.
Okay.
Keep daydreaming. Love you guys. Should be worried about protein consumption doing OMAD. I can usually consume 100 grams in one meal, and I weigh 160. I would want to make sure that you're getting enough total protein. I don't know what your percent body fat is or how much muscle you have, what your activities levels is like. But unless you're like in the very end of a cut and you weigh 160 pounds, if a lot of that 160 pounds is muscle, then I would say you probably need more protein. If you don't have very much lean mass, then that'd probably be fine.
Corey says, I know one thing.
What does Corey know? My friends, have a great evening. Have a great evening as well. Oh, we're doing a double date with Corey.
Yeah, I know.
Thanks for the discount code. That was sweet. Thank you so much for jumping on it. And that's all she wrote. All right, y'all. Take care. Toodaloo. Love you. Adios. Bye-bye for now.
See ya.